You're welcome back, and this is still TV3Newday. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with us. We're streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. Special good morning to all of you who are watching us on Facebook and all our other social media platforms. And good morning to you if you're watching us on DSTV channel 279. Let's go straight into our conversation for this morning. And just yesterday, news broke about the Bank of Ghana's governor responding to concerns for him to step down after the report indicated that they had posted some 60.8 billion in excess of losses for the year 2022. Now, per a report that was put out by Central Banking, which is an international business website, we're told that the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, has stated that he will not resign from his position, and neither will his two deputies. In fact, he described the protest organized by the NDC on Tuesday as completely unnecessary and needless. And he says that the minority in parliament have many channels to channel their grievances, and so maybe they should have employed that. Now, I wanted to check and make sure that he actually made this statement. So if you go on Central Banking's website, it is there clearly, and the subject says Ghana's governor rejects opposition's call to resign. And they also quote him as saying that it was absolutely needless. He says that the demonstration yesterday was completely unnecessary, and neither myself or my deputies intend to step down. So we're asking you this morning what you make of this response. Are you concerned that at this point, when we're all worried about the economic downturn of our country and the fact that, again, if you listen to the side of the minority, they say that the Bank of Ghana governors had a hand in where we are today. Was it prudent for the governor to make this statement at this point, describing the protest as needless? Call us and talk to us about it. The numbers are on your screens at this point. Would love to hear from you. And send a message as well. Remember, the hashtag is TV3Newday. Now, Roland, what do you guys think about this?
Well, I think that we all know that when you go to the amended act of the Bank of Ghana, it clearly states how the governor has to be removed. And of course, the governor was appointed by the president, of course, in consultation, etc. So before we came on air, we were discussing what is indicated in that amended act.
Yeah.
And then what it says that you can remove the governor the same way you remove a justice of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And that is clearly stated also, how those individuals are removed in the Constitution.
So clearly a protest may be, or maybe the calls for him to resign are not the way to go. Do you agree as well? We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir. What's your name?
I'm Duncan from Kentampo.
Thank you for joining us again. Speak to us. Is the governor of the Bank of Ghana right to describe the protest as needless?
Never. Let's be honest ourselves in the country. The man, Dr. Anderson and his two deputies, is just a disrespect to this country. It's not about politics. Let's forget about politics this morning. And the real as Ghanaians. How can we employ you, give you a job, pay you with taxpayers' money, but when it's come to for you to listen to our decision, it becomes something else. I don't understand how this country, most of the times, sometimes the people that we pay them with our own money is all we want because they don't want to listen to us. Look at what just happened in the just ended protest with Isabella. It is insane. How can we pay them? The EC budget is approved in Parliament. Is that not so? So why is our parliamentarians are taking decisions if we refuse to listen to them? The same thing is happening currently. We all know that even GRE came out and said that they have exceeded their target. What happens to all those money, Bella? But today, Bank of Ghana is running lost. We you don't know what this country is all about now. It's a hard time we should speak. And
okay.
You are doing the best for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. But if you also call as well, I mean, let us know what you make about this, because if you look at the statement that's been released, or that was released by the Bank of Ghana, explaining how they arrived at the 60.8 billion in excess in losses, they said that, well, because of the domestic debt exchange program, it led to a significant impairment losses of 32.3 billion to the bank's account, and then impairments of marketable instruments also accounted for another 16.1 billion, bringing the total impairments of government holdings to 48.4 billion. And so they didn't have a hand, in the greater percentage of the losses that were incurred by the Bank of Ghana, which is why we're where we are today. So what do you make of it? I think we have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, sir. What's your name?
My name is Patrick calling from Kumasi.
Talk to us.
Yeah. Bella, in fact, the posture of the governor of Bank of Ghana is a clear indication of the posture of our president and all his appointees. Their level of impunity, the level of disrespect that they have for us as citizens has clearly shown. And I'm sure yesterday you saw the posture of the representation of MPP, Pilot Enam Hajide, how he answered questions. It got a point in time when Nashoko asked him questions. It was as if Nashoko was even from the other party. Meanwhile, now was doing his job. And I'm sure today you witness what the lady will do. Akosia Menu, the same thing. It's a clear indication that MPP, Nanato, and his cohorts don't respect Ghanaians. It is about time that as citizens, we put our destiny into our own hands. And Governor Addison, you should know that somebody put you there. A time will come that the citizens, the youth of this country will rise again. I remember back in the days when another was, how do you call it, a candidate. He went on Peace FM saying that Arab Spring, somebody said it's set on fire. Similar thing will happen. Now, the youth of this country, we are not, in fact, we are not angry enough.
Okay.
What is happening?
But
the country.
But the law, sorry, sir.
What is that?
But the law clearly states how. Sorry, sir. Can you hear me? Okay. The law clearly states how the governor and his deputies can be removed from office. I mean, a committee needs to be set up. With a governor like this, it has to go to the Chief Justice, with a petition that has already gone to the president. And then a committee needs to be set up. And then eventually, if they find that he or she is guilty of whatever crimes are being leveled against them, then they can be removed from office. Otherwise, then we cannot just say...
in fact, listen to me now. There's this saying. Hello, now.
This is Bella, by the way, but carry on, sir.
Yeah, Bella, sorry.
Don't worry, carry on.
There's this adage. Hello, Bella.
Carry on.
Yes, there's this adage in Akam. Say, if indeed the governor will listen to us, this wouldn't be his posture. Right from day one, they use the Ghana Police Service to disrupt whatever the citizens of this country to the minority wanted to do. And they are telling us to follow procedure. They do. Even Namato, he didn't even listen to his own MPP people. When the majority members of parliament, over 80 members of them.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Even though Bella Roland, there is a written down procedure for the removal of the governor, I think that, generally speaking, the importance of demonstrations and protests in a democratic dispensation such as ours should not be downplayed. I was very surprised when I read the statement that the governor was likening the protests to hooliganism. And I thought this should not be encouraged, because demonstrations and protests are guaranteed. It's a fundamental human right of all people in Ghana. And so if you have a grievance and you want to protest, as long as you do it properly, then you are doing the right thing. You are allowed to do it in a democracy like ours. And so the governor should come again. And for all our leaders, we should actually encourage protests and demonstrations. And if we won't encourage them, at least we should not downplay them or dismiss them and describe them as hooliganism.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That is true. And I think that if you retrace what the world has experienced over the last year or two, and particularly we have from September and October, when the cedi started depreciating against the US dollar, comparisons were made between Ghana and then it was Sri Lanka, because the people then went to invade the presidential palace or whatever. And since that time, we've seen a lot of uncertainty being experienced by a larger chunk of the citizens. For those who invest in financial instruments, for those who have invested in businesses, and the ordinary people who get passed on these taxes, and so their purchasing power is reduced. And since then, you just have to measure the opinion of the main supporter region of the ruling government in the Ashanti region by the very media houses who are based there and tend to speak to ordinary citizens to get to know how they feel. So public opinion is very important. And I think it's that bubble that it has just burst and that also is rubbing off negatively of all those who are in critical positions like the BOG boss.
Yes, we have another caller now on the line from Ho. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Samuel.
You're welcome to the show. Tell us, what are your thoughts on the the governor's position? Can you please turn down the volume on your TV set so you can hear me clearly? We're getting some feedback in the studio.
Okay, please, what I think is, you see, in Ghana, we don't have the culture of people resigning naturally if they find themselves in corrupt acts. And I think the posture of the governor of the Bank of Ghana is uncalled for. I think he has to just resign with all the things that are happening in the BOG right now. It's pointing to the fact that he's not competent to manage the affairs of the financial policy of Ghana. I think there should be a law. There should be a law that can actually make people to resign without passing through a lot of processes and putting things, going to a committee or whatever. If you are finding a corrupt act and it causes a financial loss to the state, I think there should be something that should easily make the people to resign so that we will not be passing through all this stress. Really?
But in all fairness, don't you think that whoever has been accused of whatever corrupt act deserves an opportunity to also state their case, and therefore the investigation, and therefore the long process?
Okay, yeah, it should be that. But some of these things, they are clear. Okay, the investigations that will be carried on will still be pointing to the fact that there's a loss. So I don't think that we should be wasting time talking about this. They should just resign so that we move on. Okay. Because I think there are competent people that will occupy the office, but for the job to be done.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sam from who. For calling, and some things there should be a quicker process of resignation. But then I think in the interest of natural justice, it's important to hear the other side. So if there's an accusation or allegation or whatever against whoever in a high position, they should be given the opportunity to also state their case. And so the procedure which has been laid down is important in a democracy like ours. But thank you so much for calling. Yeah. You can also call us. The number is on your screen. Roland, before the caller came in, you were making a point.
Yeah, it's a very interesting scenario if you tend to look at what public opinion is, and then the implication on what people think about the performance of the government. And I think that it's what the government has suffered over the last year. That is still within the belly of many people. And for people in such sensitive positions, the decisions they make, how they react to that is very important. Because, for example, the posture of the central bank governor and his deputies has now rubbed off negatively of the government. Yeah. You see, but if you had come out, or one of your deputies had come out to receive it, I think that all these sentiments would have been cooled off a bit or died down.
I agree.
At the end of the day, this is where we are. And it's all because about the posture. You know, the white people, or those who are in the developed countries, I don't know, they could still hold on to their positions if they so wish, but they just choose to resign. Let's say you have a finance minister in the UK or secretary, etc., and he chooses to resign, even though he can still stay in his position and insist, well, I haven't done anything wrong. And really, you might not have done anything wrong, but it's just the times within which you find yourself. Yeah. And so for the good of the public, then they just take that kind of flack and then they just resign.
I agree.
It kind of just cools off the temper and then makes sure that we have calm restored. I don't know, in a part of the world doesn't happen.
For me, it's also about the conversation on reviewing the Constitution, so that we also limit the powers that the president has to appoint. Because then we're told that the BOG is an independent institution. So ideally, they should be making decisions. They also advise governments on some of the financial decisions that they make. But where the president has put you there, If your boss says make this decision, of course you are independent, but can you say you will not do it?
So the question is, are you independent?
Are you independent? Well, let's go over to Johnny Spites now. We'll come back with some more.